In this video, I'm going to be showing you how I set up my strength training days as part of a hybrid training plan. This particular video is going to be focused more on the strength side of it. However, I'll do another video about the cardiovascular side of a hybrid training plan. So let's jump straight into it. So the strength program that I use is mainly built around 3 to 4 strength sessions per week. And those are based around the big movements. So the squat, the bench, deadlift, and overhead press. If I've got a really busy week or there's a lot going on, sometimes I might drop that down to 3 sessions per week, and I'll just either alternate between a lower body session or an upper body session as to which session to cut. The other parts of the training plan that I'll also talk about in greater detail in another video include 2 to 3 cardiovascular sessions per week. So I use a combination of running and cycling classes using a Peloton bike. You can typically do whatever sort of modality works best for you in this situation. And I'll basically build the intensity and the duration over time. So doing this work really helps build your heart and lungs, which are the capacity for you to go longer distances without feeling out of breath, to manage fatigue better, and also perform at a higher level. So if you're competing in a competition, that's going to be really important as well. But it's also really good too if you just don't want to be out of breath and you're kind of getting through a strength workout and you're having to stop and take long breaks in that session. So the focus for this strength sessions are around big compound movements, as well as a heavy emphasis on strongman style training. This helps to build strength in a fast and effective way, and it also really helps build that usable strength, that everyday kind of strength. Strongman's actually something that I've been training for a number of years, and it's always delivered in many ways. When it's done right with the right tools, the right intensity, and in the right way, it'll give you a kind of strength that is really hard to match with barbells and dumbbells alone. A lot of the clients that I work with who also use strongman training in many of their programs also report feeling a lot stronger when they're doing everyday activities outside of the gym. So my workouts are broken up into sections. They're also ordered in a set way. So if I'm running short on time, I can cut out a section of the workout and still ensure that I'm getting a good workout and hitting the most important things for the day. So one of the things that I lean on quite a lot with my training is the use of giant sets. I learned this strategy a few years ago and I've been implementing it since, and it's worked really, really well for me and for the clients that I train as well. And it basically consists of 3 to 4 movements done in a specific order. So you go from A to B to C and then to D. And the exercises are specifically chosen to support the main focus, the main lift that you are focusing on for that particular day. So the order of them goes like this. First of all, you have your opposing movement. So think of whatever the main lift is, this is basically the opposite of that movement. So if you're doing a bench press for the day, you might do some sort of horizontal row in the first movement. Then you would come to the main movement, which is your main focus. It could be squat, bench, deadlift, overhead press, or a variation of those. Then the next one is a core movement. So I like to put in loaded carries here. So whether it's something like a suitcase carry or a lighter farmer's walk, I might do that in place here because I find that really uses your core in a effective way. So I'll put that in. And then the last movement is kind of optional. You can chuck in a conditioning movement here, so such as a body weight movement, or it could be things like kettlebell swings or even little stints on the bike or the rower or the ski erg, etc. But it's an optional one there. It's not necessarily a must-have. So one of the big benefits of using giant sets is the amount of work that you can get done in a short period of time. And when they're structured right, you'll also be able to hit the main areas that are the supporting areas of the main movement you're doing. So as we discussed before, if you're doing a bench press, doing a horizontal row is also hitting an area that is also quite important for your bench press. It's going to supplement that as well. Let's move into what a typical strength day will look like. So first up, I have what's called prep work, and I'll do 2 to 3 rounds of this. And it's basically just some exercises that are targeted around the main movement that I'm going to be doing to make sure that the muscles that are involved in that are thoroughly warmed up. So if I'm doing an upper body focused day, that's primarily going to mean that I'm warming up the shoulders. I'm doing some exercises to help make sure that they're ready to go for the main movement. Likewise, if it's a lower body day, Predominantly that's going to be things like warming up the glutes, the core, because those movements require a lot of core activation and also work from the glutes as well. So making sure that those muscles are well and truly warmed up and ready to go. After I've done the prep work, then I move into the build or the main strength focus. And this is where I'll typically work up to a max for the day. It might be a 1, 3, or 5 rep. And sometimes I might go a little bit higher and I'll aim for 4, 6, or 8 reps, depending on where I am throughout the program. And this also depends on what equipment I might have available. So typically, if I'm using dumbbells only for the program, I will stick with the higher rep ranges, going for sets of 4, 6, or 8, or even higher as my main focus for the day. And if I'm using this option, I'm going to set a timer for about 15 or 20 minutes, which basically just helps me stay really focused and keeps me on track without getting sidetracked or, doing other things and then extending that training time beyond what it needs to be. Sometimes, depending on what sort of training program I'm doing throughout the year or the training phase, I might also use percentages based on my 1RM here. So I could be doing reps using different percentages. So I might go something like 65, 75, 85, and the reps will adjust accordingly. So sometimes I'm working up to a max with certain phases. Other times I'm using percentage work and I'm using those to guide me to where I need to be. So the next section of the workout is some volume work. So this really comes into play if you are using the daily max method. So if I've built up to a daily max, then what I'll do is take a percentage of that daily max, so usually about 80%, and I'll do some sets of higher reps with that particular weight that I've now got to get in some extra volume. So this really contributes to building up that strength and also contributes to building up muscle size as well. And the last piece of the workout is a strongman finisher. This is usually where I put in some of the strongman work. Sometimes, depending on the workout or the focus for the day, I might move this section around a little bit, but typically this always comes as the finisher at the end of the workout. And majority of the time, I'm going to keep this to things like using sandbags, farmer's walks, dead balls, or the Atlas stones, things like that. One of the other things that I really like using in this section is EMOMs, or every minute on the minute. And I'll use carry variations throughout that time or loading over a bar set at a particular height. So I'll set a timer for between 6 and 10 minutes. Every time that timer goes off, that will cue me to then do a carry or to do a number of reps loading over the bar. And typically this works really well because these types of movements are less complex than the technique required to do squats, deadlifts, all of those big lifts. But again, these are the ones that give you that kind of real world strength. This is the usable strength where you can actually apply this to other things outside of the gym. So let's jump into an actual example of what one of these workouts look like. So here we have an example workout. This is a bench press focused day. So first up, as you can see, we've got the prep work. So 2 to 3 rounds of the following. And the first movement I've got is shoulder raises with light dumbbells. We're doing 10 reps in each position. So this is basically a movement to warm up the rotator cuff muscles of the shoulder. And it's only using really light dumbbells like 1.25 to 3 kilos at most. And then I'm pairing that with passovers with a stick. So this is just literally taking a stick, going back and forth, trying to increase that range of motion. So something that I like to do is make sure in the prep phase that I've got full range of motion, that there's no restrictions there in any way, because that's just going to hinder the rest of the work to come. Following that, then I move into the build phase, 15 to 20 minutes, building up to a heavy 5 reps on the bench press in a giant set format. So as I said before, the giant set is set up in a specific way. So with this example here, we've got chest supported rows for 10 reps or inverted rows. Either one of those two, we're still targeting the upper back, and that's opposing the main lift. Then we move on to the bench press. That's the main lift. We're going for 5 reps. So we're working our way up to a 5 rep max for the day. After that, then we've got Russian twists for 20 reps with a plate, and then 5 burpees. So we've got that conditioning cardio movement thrown in there as well. So we just go in order of A to B to C, or in this case 1, 2, 3, 4. We rest a little bit, adjust our weights, and then we come back and we start another round. After 15 to 20 minutes, whatever I've got up to, that is my 5 rep max for the day. So it kind of does make you focus, and it kind of does make you accountable, that you can't really kind of stuff around. You've got to just get in there, get what you need to done. Then following that, we've got the volume rounds. So we've got 3 rounds here using 80% of the weight hit in the build phase. Same format with exercises. We've got the same movements in here. The only thing that changes is the bench press reps. So we're using 80% for 10 reps on the bench press. And we do only 3 rounds here just to get some extra volume in. That helps build towards, increasing your strength on that lift, as well as helping to grow some muscle tissue as well. And then to finish off, we've got the strongman conditioning section. So we've got an EMOM for 6 to 8 minutes. And I've simply got a heavy dead ball or other odd object. It could be a stone, it could be a sandbag. Loading that over a bar set at 1.2 meters for 4 reps. And all I do here is put the barbell into the squat rack, and I'll just secure that so it doesn't fall out. And I make sure that that's at 1.2 meters high. When the timer goes off, I pick up the sandbag or the dead ball, load it over that, and I do that for 4 reps. If I get that done in 30 seconds, it means I get 30 seconds recovery until the next minute ticks over, and then I do 4 more reps. So I found that that's a really good way of keeping you focused, but also keeping that strength endurance element there, that conditioning aspect of it, where you're kind of operating under fatigue, and you're still moving things that are quite challenging, quite heavy. But it really does build that real world strength. You can then use that for things outside of the gym. So it's really effective there. So hopefully you found this video helpful, and hopefully you can use some of what I've shared with you today for yourself. If you have any questions about what we went through, leave them below in the comment section and I'll answer them for you. That's it for this video. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to like the video as well as subscribe to the channel, because I'll be making more videos about all things training and nutrition. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.